another Rooster Talk where we speak with ASX companies to get an update on what they've been doing. We're here at the UWA Club here in Crawley. I got Brad Valiukas here from Aurumin Limited. They've just completed the Sandstone gold project acquisition. So Brad, welcome. Look, Brad, it's taking you guys a little bit longer than you would have liked, but all done and all green lights to go.
Yeah, so it probably took us a month longer than we would have liked to get it done. There's probably a number of reasons for that aren't worth going in today, but look, just super happy to have it completed and be the owner of the asset, and now we can get on with some on-ground work and starting to add some real value.
Can you remind the viewers, obviously, that we've spoken about this extensively in the last Coffee with Samso, how it will transition into the flow of your work, and the company?
Yeah, no, so we look at Sandstone as being a complementary asset to what we already have. So we always came out as a company with advanced gold projects and looking towards development. Look, Mount Diamond in particular has a couple of pits there that are ready to go, but just in terms of overall critical mass operation, we'd still really like to add to that. So Sandstone just sort of leapfrogs in front. There's already that 784,000 ounce resource there, 500,000 of which is underground, but it's just that little bit more advanced and bigger and closer towards critical mass for getting into production. It just takes us forward as a company, which is what we had set out to do and the direction that we're still heading in.
I remember when we first spoke and we talked about what Aurumin was. I mean, you're not a explorer as such, right? You sort of call it brownfields or things like that. With your Mount Diamond and Mount Palmer and now Sandstone, to me, it's quite consistent in strategy move. And acquiring ounces, I guess, is part of a strategy. Can we go back to, say, your Mount Diamond stuff and the two pits, and how is that going, or how will that transition this year? Obviously, 2022.
Yeah, so we've still got some exploration work to do at Mount Diamond. So we're reasonably successful during the year. Some cracking individual drill results. And reasonably successful during the year of getting some extension on Golden Slipper and Lightning. What we really would have liked to have done is brought along another couple of deposits to that stage and to that level. So it's some good results at LO3, and certainly we can go out there and take something back. The one new discovery we made there during the year was our T12, which is originally target number 12. So we certainly proved that up. The grade's probably not quite as good as Lightning or Golden Slipper, or it's not as good as Lightning and Golden Slipper. It certainly falls into part of a mining inventory there. So we still just really want to add another sort of 2-3 pits in that Mount Diamond region to bring it online. So we'll just keep progressing on that. We've done some more geochem work around the place. We've been using the CSRO Ultrafine to try and look through the cover a little bit better, and there's some interesting things that have come out of that from work at the end of last year and early on this year, so potentially a couple of new targets out of that as well. So we'll just keep working through that. There's plenty of opportunities to try and monetise Mount Diamond as well. There are toll treatment options that we could go dig those pits out and get some pretty good returns on. I think we're not quite there and having exhausted our opportunity to make the project bigger though before we start. So I think during this year we'll really sort of get to the end of that, or whether we monetise it by trying to toll treat it, or whether we are successful enough to keep going there to make the project bigger. Either way, there's still some pretty good value there, and if you look at some of the drilling results and the numbers and think about the grade that might come out of those, certainly we can put some pretty good money in the bank when the time comes.
When I look at Aurumin and the projects you have, again, people talk about, okay, they're still not quite there yet, they're still exploring, but there's two dimensions to your exploration, right? There's the trying to find a target exploration, and then there's the trying to find extensions to your existing mineralisation. To me, that gives a better dimension to your story than, I don't say better, but tier up than the rest. Not to saying the rest is no good, right? How do you guys strategize? Which one first?
Well, we actually try and operate with a bit of a strategy of and. So right now at Sandstone, just in terms of the way you describe that, I'd add there's a third one. So the 2 Mile Hill, the Tonalite, the underground, has 500,000 ounces in it at a fairly diluted resource grade of 1.1. There's some huge intersections running through there at greater than 2 grams. And so we've got 500,000 ounces. If we can convert that over to a 2 gram inventory, so we don't even need to find anymore, we just need to define it a little bit better.
Okay.
So if we can just define that a little bit better, then suddenly we're looking at an underground with potentially 500,000 ounces in it at a couple of grams, and that certainly gets us there to mining. And so I mean, Sandstone's just that little bit further advanced. Otherwise, we've tried to take the strategy of and during the year. So always when we've gone out to Mount Dimer, we've drilled some holes in around those existing deposits, trying to get some extensions, and we've also gone and tried to drill some new things and sort of change the story and expand the story. So we always try and do both together, and it'll be a little bit the same at Sandstone. So we've got 5 targets, exploration targets on surface out of the work that Middle Island had done. So we're going out very soon to complement that with some further auger geochem, and also hopefully try and identify some further targets, because we think there's still some untested area there, and clearly it's very prospective. And at the same time, we'll be doing site prep to get into the 2 Mile Hill on the underground there. So it's trying to bring multiple things along at the same time, and just trying to get that balance right. I guess you never quite know until you've done the work whether you've got the balance right or not. But I mean, most of the time during last year, which is our first listed year, we always came out with something worthwhile from our Mount Dimer work. It's just always some lower risk and some higher risk together.
Yeah, I can appreciate. I mean, with our game, I guess, for a lot of people who are not from this sector, things can change very quickly. Priorities can change very quickly. Like you said, if you did drills, find a major target just from your auger, then suddenly focuses on that. Not devaluing the other projects, just that got to figure out what that is. It could be the mother lode, or I mean, from your experience, obviously, you've been in this game a long time. How true is that statement that things can change very quickly?
Oh, look, absolutely. So Mount Dimer this year, we had we drilled the 153 gram per tonne gold hit just into the ultramafics, and so we knew from the work that we'd done, we had some soil geochem over the top. From the geophysics, we mapped the structures running through the ultramafic, north of the granite into the ultramafic. So the first hole into that, we picked up an absolute screamer there, which ended up then being 20 metres at 10 grams effectively, with the 153 in the middle. And we thought, so super keen, and so we changed our focus there a little bit in the last drill program of the year, and tried to extend it further into the ultramafic. And we also tested on the contact, which had always been a target, but we've been working up to that. So we went sort of a little bit harder on that one, and unfortunately we weren't successful. So yeah, I guess a perfect example of the strategy changes depending on what your last lot of results are. And it has to. Like, if we could sit down as an exploration exercise and say, that's what we're going to do for the next 12 months, then we're probably not incorporating the results as we go along. The 2 Mile Tonalite, a little bit differently. We sort of know where the bulk of that is, and we know what we need to do to drill that out to a sort of 40 metre by 40 metre density, which, given the size of that, is relatively dense and should let us track through any of the higher grade components there. So we can sort of plan that a little bit further in advance, but that's almost down to a res dev type, a resource development type drilling program rather than exploration activity.
That's just drilling holes, really, isn't it? Filling the gaps.
Yeah, we know where it is. There's one hole that finishes at 650 metres below surface, and so that's got a total intersection of it at 500 metres at 1.3 grams, and then finishes off with 160 metres at 2.3 grams, which is that 2 gram inventory that I'm talking there, and that sort of finishes up right up to the contact, the hanging wall contact of that tonalite unit. But there's not much, there's no other drilling at that depth. That sort of stands alone, and there's a small pit on the top, and there's a decent density of data there, and then there's some data, and then it sort of just really falls away. So we just need to get some more holes into that. They'll be deep, and there'll be diamond holes, and they'll be expensive, but you know, we're also looking for some really big intersections out of that. So I'd expect the proportion of the hole that's in the ore body is quite high. You know, we're not just drilling out a small 2 metre wide ore zone or something like that. We're really looking for things that are 100 metres.
I want to remind those who are watching that what Brad's talking about is actually not far-fetched, or that it's unlikely, because I remember watching believe it's Northern Star talking about Kundana. They showed a pit full, and I've talked about this before. The pit's just drilled like Swiss cheese, and they found 900,000 ounces somewhere in there. So this kind of stuff happens. It's not, I wouldn't use the word fictitious, but it's not far-fetched.
Look, the deposit is certainly there, and we've got a good handle on the size of it. We certainly know it's mineralised. There's a couple of different scenarios about why it's mineralised the way it is, and we'll be trying to nut that out during the year as well. And we've got a really good guy that's come across from ex-Northern Star now to work on Sandstone specifically with me as a geo. So yeah, we'll get that there. It's there to do, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this is the amazing part of geology, where I'm learning as with age that it is a requirement to have geos with a bit of brain cells. Bare roots exploration is all about drilling holes and getting numbers. No numbers, don't worry about the geology. But when you get to this level, it's a different story, right? So I've never been in that kind of environment before. I mean, you have. So, but I'm learning to appreciate that more and more. So, you know what? So now that this acquisition is done, obviously you're not going to just all jump into Sandstone. What's the sort of news going ahead for the next 12, 18 months? Plan A.
No, over the next 12 to 18 months, what we'll see is Sandstone gets about 2/3 of our exploration and geology spend on the ground, and that's just reflective of where it is as being more advanced, and we want to keep pushing that forward to development. So, you know, although we've said before, strategy of AUN, and we try and do a bit of both, we've certainly got to prioritise that one. So we'll go out shortly with some geochem work on the surface and some site prep, and directly followed by RC and diamond drilling focused on that 2 Mile Hill underground, and really trying to convert that 500,000 ounce resource into something we can talk about as a mining inventory sometime in the near future. At Mount Diamond, we've got a couple of other targets there that we'll go out and drill, and we've been doing a little bit of geochem work there, again using the CSIRO Ultrafine. There's a bit of cover there trying to get through. We've got some other targets there, and then to the north we've got some historical targets at Caelan Hill and Woodcutters that, you know, I've got some cracking individual results through. Previously to us, we've done some geophysics over the top of those, and we'll go follow some of that up and try and extend some of those, and again, that function of trying to get more critical mass and bring more pits online in that Mount Diamond location. And then we've done 2 pretty big soil programs, one at the end of last year and one at the start of this year at Mount Palmer, and I expect we'll see the results of those starting to come through not that far from now, and hopefully that also brings us up with some new targets. But as you said, things change depending on what comes out of those results. So I'm optimistic we'll get some drill targets out of those, and we'll get those through the year as well.
You mentioned the Ultrafine, and I've actually spoken to a few guys, a few different companies who are now looking at that kind of stuff. how good is it, or does it work well, or is it environment?
So the results that we've got back so far that are all fully back was from the end of last year, and there's some smaller areas that we effectively did as a trial, and we did it at Mount Dimer because there's the gold's in the granite there to the south, but there's actually a bit of a Monza granite sheet that runs across the top and can tend to obscure things. So we've been trying to look through that. So we're seeing some good results, both in terms of some gold numbers, but also just in terms of some arsenic and some other base metals. So we think that's effective for us, and we've been doing some bigger programs since then. Like I said, we've just done 2 bigger programs actually down at Mount Palmer, and we're just waiting for those to come back at the moment. But look, we're optimistic from what we've seen at the moment, and I guess proof will be in the pudding when we put some drill holes into it. But yeah, I think it's certainly showing up a little bit that we didn't otherwise see.
Look, Brad, it's good. It's done. Moving forward. I guess we're at this point in time of the video where I've got to ask you the question. For those shareholders who are sitting on the fence thinking, should I hang around? Should I not? Potential investors sitting on the line going, oh, should I get in or not? What's your that moment of truth to try and persuade them?
Look, we've just done the acquisition, so we're in a really good position. We've got more ounces on the books. It's 100% in line with what our strategy was, which is to develop the company towards being a mining company. It's just a little bit further advanced than Mount Dimer. It's also somewhere where we can add value, and our expertise in terms of taking things to development previously we can apply to Sandstone. We're certainly not there just to generate a nice big resource number. We're there to generate gold bars ultimately, and we're now set up really well to do that and take it forward, and we'll continue to try and grow the company quite aggressively.
All right. I mean, look, you guys got obviously the right credentials to do it. But Brad, thank you for updating, and we'll follow the journey, and hopefully when you get your results out or whatever, we'll have another chat.
Thanks, Noel. I think we'll see a pretty good news flow over the next month in particular. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.